Hi everyone. In the previous video that I've uploaded on YouTube, I've explained how to get started with React-Leaflet JS and how to get this map into our React application. So if you want to know how to get started, just look at the previous video and you can find it in my channel. But today we're going to see how to add logos like markers here on the map and how to add a pop-up. So it's going to look similar to this one, in which we are going to add like some markers on top of our leaflet map, and this marker is going to be clickable, and we are going to display some information. It's going to be a little bit simpler than this example here, but I will show you step by step how to add the marker and how to add this pop-up. So let's get started. So I've used the same previous version of the code, which now is available on GitHub, and I will put a link in the description below. And the first thing that we need to do is maybe have a quick look at the official documentation. So I'm getting this from the official documentation of React-Leaflet, okay? And you can access this. We're actually not going too much in detail how you can get this official documentation because it's missing a couple of key steps, and I just want to show you step by step, so I will guide you through, and you don't really need this official documentation, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is to add a marker and a pop-up, okay? So we can just simply copy this, or actually let's start typing it in our application. So we add a marker, okay, which we will have to import it from Leaflet. So in this case, my ID is going to help me. So it's actually highlighting here class to import, and it has imported up here. If you're not using WebStorm, your ID might not be importing this marker for you. So just add marker here at the top when we import from React-Leaflet, okay? So each market for the moment, since we are going to add just one, and then I'm going to show you how to add more than one, is going to take as an input the position, okay? And the position is going to be the same as the center of the map for simplicity. And then again, you need to put this closing tag, which your ID, or your code editor is going to add it automatically. Otherwise, just close the tag of the marker and then put a closing tag here of the marker. And then we're going to add, let's just add the marker at the beginning, and then we are going to add the pop-up, okay? So in order to add the marker, we are going to need to add an icon, okay? The icon that we want to show, okay? So if you want to do that, we're going to go in source here in our project. We're going to do right click, or let me actually open, here the source. So we're inside the folder. You can do it from the IDE, or you can do it from here. And we are going to add a new folder, here a new folder called static. And we are going to add inside static a new folder called icons. Okay, that's how I like to keep it organized. It's a good practice because later you might have images, so you want to keep icons separated from images. Technically, at this point, you could even put the icon straight away inside the source folder, but I would suggest you to keep it organized, so later in future, if your app is going to be increasing in size, it's going to be much easier to maintain it. Okay, so inside the icon here, in my case, I'm going to just drop an icon that I previously created. So you can download any PNG that you want from the internet if you want to. And just to show you how this app look like, is just a cloud, okay? So you can even add more than one. And okay, yeah, let's add a couple of icons, and then later on I will also show you how to programmatically change the icons. Okay, so we add cloudy and heavy rain. It's up to you what you want to add. Okay, so we have added this position. Here we are, and now we are going to add a function. And I like to use a function because then eventually gives you a little bit more power, in which we are going to specify which icon we want to import. Okay, because let's start this React application, which is going to start on localhost 3000. So here we are. At the moment, we do not see any icon because we have not defined which icon we want to show. Okay. If you want to run this application, you can go in the terminal of your IDE and type yarn start. Okay, so let me just remove this notification. Okay, yarn start. Alternatively, if you're using Windows, you can even go inside the source folder here, click up here at the top, CMD, type CMD here in the search bar, press enter, and then here you type yarn start. I'm not going to do that for the simple reason that is already running. Okay, so let's go back here. We cannot see any icon because we have not defined which icon we want to actually add. So we're going to create a function for that reason, and we're going to add the function here. Again, you could put the function inside another JavaScript file. For the moment, we're just going to keep it here. So we're going to create a function, and this function will only take as an input the icon size. Okay, so icon size. So later on we can change it if we want to change it based on the screen width. I'm not going to probably show you in this video how to do that, but it's just to show you that you can actually provide input to this function. Okay, this function, what is going to return? Is going to return L icon. So L is leaflet, which we are going to have to import it. So we have to import L from leaflet, okay, which we have previously installed. So if you don't know what I'm actually doing, what is this leaflet, before we install leaflet in the previous video, and you can actually check that in the package.json, okay, where we have all our dependencies, and you will see that in our dependencies we have leaflet and React-Leaflet. Again, if you don't know what I'm doing right now, just previously go and check my previous video. Okay, so what we are returning, we are actually returning this icon, but what we haven't, so we are basically returning an icon because inside the marker we want to have an icon to display. Okay, what do we need to specify? Well, we need to specify in our case two things. One is the icon URL, okay, which you can specify in this way. So we say that we require, and we require a mirror image, okay? So we just have to go one level up because you're inside this component. So we have to go one level up. So we have to go from inside this directory here, components, we have to go one level up, and then we have to go inside static. So we type double dot, and then / static, and then icons, and then / and our IDE is actually showing us which icon we want to show. And let's select, for instance, the cloudy icon. Again, if you put it in another directory or if in another location inside your project, just keep in mind that in your case it's going to be slightly different, okay? And what we're going to specify here is the icon size. So we have to type icon size, so it's camel cased, like icon URL, and we are going to put as an input our icon size. Okay, final thing that we need to do is we need to add our icon here inside the marker, and we need to specify that we want to call or invoke this function, in which as an argument we are only going to pass the icon size. Okay, so in this case we are going to pass as the icon size, we're going to pass 20. Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of issue with the trackpad here, just to type a number. Okay, so okay, finally I managed to do it. Perfect. So we can just reload our application, and we're having just a little bit of an error just because we need to wrap this icon size here with a square bracket, and again it's actually telling us the error that I didn't put a comma here. So let's do Control Save and reload, and our icon is here. Okay, so as you can see, the icon is a little bit smaller, so we're going to change it to 40. We save the file, and the icon is going to be much bigger. Okay, and then we can actually see that if we zoom in or zoom out, we can see actually that the icon always stays in the same location, and it renders quite well because it scales down, it scales up, and is always stuck in the same location that we have defined here inside the position. Okay. So the next step that I'm going to show you is how to add a pop-up. So in order to add a pop-up, it's super simple. We just need to import a pop-up, but in our case, we are going to just type pop-up here, and it's going to import it from us, from React-Leaflet. Again, if you don't have this functionality in your IDE, just go up here, and inside this import statement, you just type pop-up. Doesn't really change much from what I've done. So inside the pop-up, you just have to pop up the message, okay? And we can type location of mark, okay? We save the file. Now we are ready to click, and we're going to get the location of the mark. In most of the cases, however, you will want to change these. First of all, you will want to have more than one marker, so you just don't want to have one marker. And most of the time, probably, you will want to change the location programmatically of the markers and maybe the pop-up message inside the marker itself. So let's do that. In order to do that, we need to specify an input. So which are our location, which are the messages that we want to show. In this case, I'm going to show you how to do it, basically how to write just a constant variable as we define the position here, okay? This is fine. I mean, if you have like weather stations, let's go back to this previous example here. The only thing that basically you need to change is this icon basically as a function of the forecast, and you want to change this message here. However, the location does really change because the location of the weather station will never change. Of course, if you want to display an icon where a car is, let's say that you are developing an app like Uber or Grab here in Singapore, of course you will want to have that your icon moves around. So also you will have to update every refresh or every time the app loads up the information about the position as well. It really depends on your application. In this application, for instance, the only thing that we need to update is the icon, and we need to update the information. This is mostly done by querying the data from an API. And there are different options. So you can use, like in Singapore, you can use data.gov.singapore, in which you can get data for the weather in Singapore, or I believe AccuWeather API also provide this type of information, okay? So you can look at their APIs, and you can get the location of the API reference. You can get the location of the station, and you can get locations, and you can get information about the weather forecast, okay, for a specific location. So for instance, here I could key in like Singapore and get the hourly forecast. This goes beyond the scope of this video. So in this video, we're going to do with something with static. Just let me know in the comment below if you would like me to create a video of how to show you how to get the data from an API and display on the map. If you want me to do that, I'm more than happy to just create a video. Just let me know in the comment below. But for the moment, in this video here, we are going to create a constant. So we call it a constant, okay? And in this case, we call it, let's say, we call it icon locations, okay? And it's going to be an array. And this array will contain some objects. So each object will contain information about so the location name, or let's call it just simply name, which is the name that we're going to display in the pop-up. So in this case, it's going to be West, and and we're going to add an information about the position, okay? Which in other cases, I mean, I just call it position because we call it position up here, but it could be like lat and another one which contains the longitude, or it could be like coordinates. You can call it however you want. And let's add another information. That's all for the moment. So we're going to create one for the east, and we're going to create one for the west. So basically that's what we want at the moment, and we of course need to change the name and the location for the east and the west. So for the east and the west, we just need to change this, and we are going to call it east. Okay, so instead of having just one simple position here that is hard-coded, what we need to do in this case, we're going to need to do a loop or map this icon's location. Okay, so in order to do that, to add a function inside here the return, what do we need to do? We need to add braces here, curly braces, sorry, and we need to type icon locations here, and then we type map. So we're going to map to each element inside the array. Okay, here we're going to use arrow functions. Okay, so what we're going to extract for each element here. So we're going to let's call this one locations. So probably it's just a little bit simpler. So we call this one location, the different location that we have. So we map, so the first time we're going to get this location, and then the second time we map inside, we're going to get this location, and so on, okay, till we exhaust this list. So we're going to map through, and we're going to extract the location, and here we're going to have an arrow function. And this arrow function, which we just type it as equal and bigger than, inside this arrow function, we just open a bracket here, and then we just copy the same function that we actually just previously wrote. Okay, so we're just going to add this, and we just now I have to change slightly the things, because what do we need to do? Inside a marker here, we are not going to return, so let me just put this one in a new line, so it's slightly easier to read. So we're not going to return the position, because this was this position, but we're going to return location dot position. Okay, so we're going to return this information here. The icon size, we keep it fixed to 40. And later maybe we can add a value here to show you how to change that. And instead of showing the location marker here, we are going to return the location, but in this case we are going to return the location name. Okay, so let's save this file and see what we get. So inside here, so we are running on the local host, so we have many of them which are running, and of course now we change that value, so from icons location we change it to location. So let's just save that, save this file, and here we get the file that we want to. Okay, so as you can see, we have the location here, we have the east and west, and we have the two clouds, and this is actually what we wanted to show. We want to show like the two clouds here, and we wanted to show them in two different locations. So if we add another location, and we add, like, for instance, north, and we change the position, so now we need to slightly increase, I guess, this value and this value. So we're going to have it like just a little bit higher, and let's see what happens. Okay, so the cloud is here. So I mean, again, if you just get the data from an API, it's going to be much better, because let's add 8. Okay, so I mean, of course, you'll want to do it programmatically, or you want to know the exact location of the station. But basically, this is what we can do. So if you want to add more station, you just have to add a new term here. Otherwise, in your API query, you're just going to look through all the locations, and you are going to add this information. Of course, as we can change the name, you can also, for instance, change the icon size. So if I don't know why you would want to, but if you want to change the icon size, you could say you can add another parameter inside here, which is let's say default is let's say is 40 for this one, but so we add 40 here. Let me just add it properly. So here we close the bracket, and then let's copy for the one below, and this one here. So this one we call it 30, and this one we put 50, and then we need to add a comma. Okay, so let's save that. Of course, nothing has changed because we haven't saved it here. We haven't changed it here. So inside here, we're going to pass location, and then we're going to pass size. And so location size, get location, sorry, without the curly braces. Yeah. Here we are. So now we have three icons which are different, which have different sizes, and we can have different, of course, different labels because we have specified here that we have different labels. Finally, the last thing that I want to show you, because I mean this is more relevant than the size, we can call it like we can add another information which is going to be the forecast. Okay, and in this case, for simplicity, we return in this forecast, we return exactly the same name of the icon that we just added here. So we had one icon which is called cloudy. Okay, so we are going to call it cloudy. And then let's do the same for the icon in the east, but for the icon in the north, we return heavy rain. Okay, so of course your icon name has to be matching of the name here in the description here, or in the object, in this object here. Of course, you can have a function which maps different name of the icon with different descriptions. The only thing that we need to change right now is that instead of having this require URL, which is just static, is just a value which cannot change, inside this icon, we're going to also pass a term which is forecast. Okay, and inside here, we have to define a string. So icon string. In this case, we are going to have like our path. So it's going to be this one. Then we are going to add the forecast. Okay. And then we are going to add again. I know there is a better way of doing it, but I just want to keep it simple. And we are going to return this one. So it's going to add basically this string to the forecast that we are passing here, and then all the icons are in PNG. Okay, so let's save that and see if it works. We are actually having, we are actually just getting a little bit of an error because we are getting undefined. Of course, we are getting undefined because inside get icon, what we are not passing is actually the forecast. Okay, so here inside we need to pass location dot forecast. Okay, so because we need to pass this information, so this information is going to go inside our function, which is get icon, and is going to give us the string which we pass inside this icon URL, and we get the image. Okay, so let's save that. And so static icons cloudy PNG, and so this should be fine. So let's just have a look. So sorry for that. There was an error from my side. Unfortunately, we cannot create a constant here, which is going to be a string, and then pass it inside require. But we need to do instead is to add this inside the require here, and we actually cancel this constant. So once we do that, so basically again what we are doing, we are passing the forecast. This forecast is going to tell us where the string of where the icon is located, and then we're going to import this image. We do Control Save, and now everything is fine. So we're actually even changing the location programmatically, and even better, we can also pass inside here also the weather forecast, okay, which is actually going to be nice for our user. So we type location dot forecast, and now the user will be able to see not only the location, but also what is the weather forecast. Then later on with CSS, or in my case here I use Tailwind, you can of course change based on your preference the code, how the appearance of the pop-up here. So if you want to put it in a new line, or if you want to add like something else, like if you want to add some style, you can easily do that later on. So is not going to be a problem about that. You can just change the formatting as you will do in a normal HTML page. So basically that's it for the video. Please give it a like or do something in the video. Just subscribe, give it a like to the video if you like the video, if you found it useful, and comment down in the comments below if you have any request or if you need a bit of help, and you will be able to find this code in the GitHub repository. Thank you very much for listening.